Hey, what's going on, everybody? Appreciate you tuning back into another video. We're going to be going over the profit trailer and PT feeder settings update. I'm going to be giving out some settings on what I've been using the past few days. I'm going to briefly go over some of them based on comments that I've been receiving. And then we're going to try, if I have time, I'm going to jump into TradingView and kind of just demo a couple of those things. But I'm also going to go over the newest profit trailer feeder update. So they just updated some really cool stuff. We're going to be able to maximize the potential of this bot using PT feeder now. So I'm really excited about that. We'll get into that in a second. But basically I have CoinMarketCap pulled up because this market, Bitcoin, all these other coins really dictate how we're going to be setting our settings. And it all depends on what you think is going to happen to the market. Okay. That's how you're going to set your settings. And it's vital to understand how this works. In my previous Bitcoin technical analysis video, I had said that I think there's a pretty solid support line around 9,500. We've tested that support a few times and we're holding pretty strong. Now, I've been updating my Elliott waves. I'll be doing another TA video in the next, today, maybe tomorrow morning. But I really wanted to get into this because if you guys think that Bitcoin is just going to skyrocket to the moon, what normally happens is these altcoins will tend to bleed while Bitcoin is skyrocketing because everyone's selling those altcoins to get into Bitcoin, take part in the profits. And then once Bitcoin slows down a bit, these altcoins tend to rebound and sort of lag their way to where Bitcoin just retraced to. So that in itself is a market condition that we need to have in profit feeder. And we need to understand, okay, if Bitcoin crashes and all the altcoins crash, how are we going to protect ourselves? How are we going to hedge from the downside? So let me first jump into the newest PT feeder update. So this is really cool. They updated the buy strategy overrides. So basically now you can go and specify coin specific overrides. So for example, high volume coins, you can use low BB. And for low volume coins, you can use, like EMA gain or EMA spread. And another, that's super cool. So we'll just get into the settings real quick and just show you what I mean by that. So we've all been over this before in my previous videos. These basically, not all of them, but most of them are just base settings. If you took away all of this stuff down below, your bot would buy based on all of this stuff. It would buy and sell, check the market using all of these settings in here. Now, that was awesome. And when PT feeder came out, it was really awesome because we could use these super bear, boring bull, and super bull folders to offset these settings and give us more versatility to playing the market the way that we want to play it. And you basically set the offsets yourself and you can go nuts. Now, the only bad thing about PT feeder when it first came out was this buy strategy was never able to be manipulated, right? Like in a bear market, you had to use the same buy strategy as in a boring market. But now you can use EMA spread for bear. You can use EMA gain for boring. You can use EMA spread for bull market. And that's going to be really awesome because we're going to be able to really hone in our settings based on each market condition that we determine. So I'm really excited for that. I'm not going to release those settings because I haven't really tested them. I'm not super well versed on them yet. There's a lot of stuff in here that I need to go over before I'm going to release a settings update on that. But just watch out for that video when the time comes in the next day or two because I'm pretty excited to see this. So let's just jump into my settings real quick. The stuff that I've been using and that I'm still using right now. We're going to go over some of the offsets if I have some time in TradingView, but let's just jump into this. So EMA spread, that's what I'm using. My buy value, negative 0.75. I changed my cost. So I've been getting some comments about this in the past. Like, dude, you're crazy for using 4% as your cost. And although I see where you're coming from, it really all depends on the person, their risk tolerance. It depends on how much budget they have. It depends on a lot of different things. It depends on all the other settings that you're using. But basically this is the cost per trade, the max cost per trade that you're allowing Profit Trailer to execute on. So if you have this at 5%, the biggest concern was then if you go into DCA and you have this cost at 5%, then your DCA buys are going to be huge and you're going to end up eating up a ton of Bitcoin in your DCA. And people are getting, I don't want to say offended, but they're like, I can't even believe that you would do this and stuff. But I was using 5% and I was hedging myself in other ways. So I had my min buy balance. I had this set up, and then I had my DCA max cost up, and then I had my DCA min buy balance up. So all of these settings really determine how your bot is going to perform. So for now, I'm using 0.5. So the higher this cost goes, the bigger trade you're going to make. Now, generally speaking, if you're getting a 1% return on your trades, then the higher trade value you have, the more dollar value you're going to get out of that 1%. And by lowering this, you're going to end up inevitably buying smaller amounts of coins, still making the same profit percentage, but you are going to end up with less dollar value, right? And that's completely fine. And you just kind of, by lowering this, you kind of protect yourself in the downside from getting into super big DCA bags and having less pairs. So, it's all to each their own, right? So anyway, so I changed this to 0.5 because we're not so sure what's happening with the market. We don't really know. If Bitcoin drops significantly, then we're probably going to end up in big DCA bags. So I decided, and I took note from a couple of the comments saying, maybe change this lower. And so we're testing out this at a lower value. DCA enables at -4, max buy spread. Let's see, we can just go through this. If you have a low budget, this is a good thing to keep low. This is also good to keep around 4, 5, or 6. Like I said, DCAs are what's going to eat your Bitcoin up real fast. So if you have a low budget and you don't mind sitting on some negative bags for a little while, then I don't mind you putting this at 4 even, or even 3. If you just want to DCA a few times and then you just sit on those negative bags, then you're going to have more opportunity to buy other pairs with that Bitcoin that you're saving on these DCAs. So that's one way of looking at that. My DCA sell trigger 0.9, 0.9, 0.12, 0.125. So those are all kind of very small incremental changes there. I changed my min buy balance to 50. So basically what this is doing is this is socking away 50% of my Bitcoin to never be traded. And this is the reason I have this set up the way it is because if Bitcoin rebounds to $15,000 in the next week or two, then inevitably we're probably going to see some bleeding from the altcoins, or maybe we're going to see slower increases in the altcoin. Then you kind of want to protect yourself by partaking in the upside. So you're kind of hedging yourself if you think Bitcoin's going to kind of skyrocket impulsively. Now, another way you can look at this at 50% is if the market tanks. What happens when the market tanks? Bitcoin has the most liquidity. Bitcoin has the most volume. It has the most notoriety. If Bitcoin tanks, a lot of these altcoins that maybe not even on the first page, but on, subsequent pages, they will tend to drop significantly more than Bitcoin. So you can kind of hedge yourself if we go into a negative market by having a lot of Bitcoin as well, because it tends to drop equal to or less than the other altcoins. So if that makes sense. So, that's one of the ways you can look at this. You can change this however you want. But yeah, like I said, this is the reason I don't just give out settings, because it all depends on how you want it set up. What's your budget? What's your goal? Where do you think Bitcoin's going to go? So it becomes difficult to just give out settings. Anyway, so I'm going to get into this stuff. We have like I said earlier, these are your base. These are your offsets. Now, I'll briefly go over a couple of these offsets, and I'll scroll down so you guys can see kind of the rest of what I'm working with here. If you need to, you can pause and just kind of look at it, and I'll scroll down a little more and you can pause and look at this stuff. These are all offsets based on different stuff. So these are price trend changes. When a price trend changes to negative 5%, then I've put in some offsets to help with buying and selling, and my profit offsets and my sell value offsets. So, and then I even have some max pair offsets. So when I'm in a super bull market, I tell my bot, okay, instead of having only 8 pairs, you can now have, more like 10 pairs. So stuff like that is why you use these offsets. So this is like longer term price trend changes. If the long-term price trend changes by negative 10%, I want some offsets in there. So let me go over a couple of these. So my DCA, I made a little cheat sheet here. My DCA trailing buy offset is at 25%. Okay. My DCA trailing buy up here is at 0.12. So basically my DCA trailing buy is going to look, and it's looking for 0.12. Now, in a bear market, I wanted this to be smaller because things tend to rise slower in a bear market. So what I did was I wanted to offset this by 25%. So down here, I have my 0.12 times 0.25, which is 25%, is equal to 0.03. And the equation is 0.12 minus 0.03 is equal to 0.09. So now instead, in my bear market, this DCA trailing buy is not 0.12. It is 0.09 in my bear market. So same thing goes for my buy value. So my buy value was at negative 0.75 up here in my base settings. Now, in my bear market, I wanted this to be lower because I don't want to buy at 0.75 if the market is going to continue down to negative 2%, right? So what I did was I set up this buy value offset. So negative 0.75 times 25% is 0.1875. Now negative 0.75 minus 0.1875 is negative 9.375. So now in my bear market, my buy value, it's looking for negative 0.9375%. It's not looking for that negative 0.75. So that's what these offsets can do, and that's how they can really help you. And what's going to be really cool with the new profit trailer, new PT feeder settings is we're going to be able to not only set all of these offsets for these market conditions, but we're going to be able to set certain buy and sell strategies based on each market condition. So I'm really excited about that. So if you guys haven't picked up Profit Feeder, I would recommend doing it while we're still in this sort of market downtrend, because you're looking at a better price for it anyway. But if not, don't do it. Don't care. I've been getting a lot of questions about PT Magic and stuff. I'm still looking over it. I know it works. I know Profit Trailer Feeder works. I know it's legit. I know I've been talking with the development team guys. They're all super legit. They're very good. The support is good. Their updates are good. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I know PT Magic is free, so use at your own risk. I really haven't looked into it a whole ton. So other than that, these are the settings. I'll scroll down to the bottom again so you can get an idea of this. But I will probably do a trading view update video so I can show you guys, EMA spread again, EMA gain, how that actually works. But I really don't have enough time on this video. So I will catch you guys in the next one. Be on the lookout for the next PT feeder settings update when I start implementing these new settings. So with that said, I'll catch you in the next video. Subscribe if you like the content. Later, guys.